What's the best way to use YouTube to learn English? That's a great question. It's actually pretty simple to answer. I'm someone who is a language learner. I'm learning French at the moment, and I've studied other languages in the past. And YouTube is one of my favorite tools for language learning. And so I want to talk a little bit about how I use YouTube as a language learner. But first, let me just talk about why I prefer to use YouTube instead of movies or TV series. Okay, so it's not bad to use movies and TV shows for language learning. Of course not. It's great to use them if that's what you like. But personally, I prefer using YouTube and podcasts for language learning, and I want to explain to you why that is, to give you a little bit of a look inside my mind as a language learner, and why I think it's actually better and more effective for a lot of people to use content like YouTube and podcasts instead of just watching movies or TV shows. First of all, the way that people talk in movies doesn't reflect the way that people talk in real life 100%. Sometimes it can get pretty close to natural speech, the way that people speak English in reality. However, TV and movies, these are scripted. Okay, that means that someone actually prepared the script in advance and the actors are saying what's on the script. And when that's the case, you don't have 100% natural, authentic speech. So, for example, if I were reading what's on my computer right now, I wouldn't sound the way that I sound right now because I have notes right here, but I'm improvising, right? I'm not memorizing something to say and then saying it, right? I don't have a perfectly planned sentence that I just have to memorize and say it. I'm actually just talking how someone would talk when they're improvising and talking naturally, right? So that's one of the reasons why I prefer YouTube, specific types of YouTube channels and videos, and I'll talk about those in just a minute, okay? But first, I want to finish this thought here. So using YouTube, podcasts, things like that, it's more natural. The way that I'm talking now, for example, is just me talking. So that's different from a TV show or a movie where the person is actually memorizing or they're saying something that they've memorized. And when someone writes a script for a movie or a TV show, they're not including all of the boring kind of filler words or the words that aren't really interesting, that we shouldn't say all the time, like and and right. People aren't going to try to write those words into the scripts of movies and TV shows a lot of the time. But in reality, English speakers say these words over and over and over again. So when you watch something that's scripted, oftentimes it doesn't have those same natural filler words, and people aren't thinking like I am right now of their next thought. They're just saying what they know is on the script. So it's not quite as authentic, let's say. So that's one thing. And then movies and TV shows have a lot of other distractions. It's not always focused on just the language being spoken, right? Sometimes there's a car chase happening, and there probably isn't dialogue happening every second of that car chase. You might just be seeing them drive the cars fast. So during that time that you're watching that movie, for example, you're not actually getting 100% English practice because other things are happening besides just someone talking, right? So that's something. And there are a lot of other distractions and noises and effects and music and all of these different things, of course. But really, if I had to think of the biggest reason why I personally don't use movies, and TV shows don't have this problem as much, but they can. But specifically movies, the issue for me is that you only have this time period of the movie with those characters and that person speaking, and then the movie's over, and then you watch another movie, and all of the characters are new. The English is completely different, right? The people's voices are different. They use different words and phrases. And so you don't have as much repetition of words and phrases as you do when, for example, you watch this channel and you hear me talk in many different videos or podcast episodes, and I tend to use a lot of the same words and phrases and expressions, and I have a style of speaking that you can hear throughout my different videos and episodes. And this repetition helps you actually learn a lot of new words, phrases, and things like that because the speaker says them again and again. That's just human nature. We all have a style of speaking, and we tend to repeat a lot of the things, the words and the phrases that we always use. And even within like one YouTube video, for example, I might say the same thing multiple times in a way that's not very creative. I'm not thinking of new words or interesting ways of saying something. Whereas in a movie, for example, they might think more about this when they're writing the script. They don't want to have too much repetition of certain words or phrases or whatever. But in reality, when an English speaker is just talking normally, they repeat a ton of their words and phrases and things like that. So that's something natural, but it's not something that you see as much in movies. This is something that YouTube videos with authentic speech or podcast episodes have a lot more of. And like I said, that repetition of words and phrases, that actually helps you get exposed to the same new word multiple times versus maybe you hear a word once in a movie and then you never hear it again in that movie, right? And then when you watch another movie, it's completely different with a different story, different characters. They're talking about different things. And so you don't get as much of that repetition that's so valuable when you're learning a language. So those are the reasons why I don't favor movies, me personally, when it comes to language learning. I think TV series are a little better because you have more continuity. You have the same characters appearing in multiple episodes. So you have more of a chance to hear the same words and phrases repeated. You hear the same voice more, and that's really helpful. So I think TV series are a little better, but I would still say that the best content is YouTube and podcasts, right? And so what do I recommend in terms of using YouTube for language learning? Well, the first thing that you should do is you should choose a few topics that you're really interested in. So for me, for example, I might, and I actually do this, I've chosen these topics and I've used them to watch videos in French about these topics. For example, business, right? Or specifically online business. That's something that's relevant to me. Languages and language learning, right? I'm really passionate about languages. So that's another topic for me. And another topic I really like is geography. I love learning about the world and all the things that go along with geography. So for me, I have those topics, and what I do is I search for videos and channels about those topics just as if I were doing it in English. Like, oh, I want to watch a video about, selling something online, right? And instead of searching for that in English, I search for that in French. And that leads me to different channels of YouTubers, and I start to check out their content, right? So that's the first step, is to choose those topics that you're interested in and use those topics as the topics of the videos that you're going to use on YouTube for learning English, right? And that's not enough, though. You can't just choose a few topics and then the first video you see, you click on it, and then you just watch all the videos from that person's channel, right? Because some channels are better than others for language learning. So, for example, I'll give you some criteria that I have when it comes to choosing what types of channels I like to use, YouTube channels for language learning. So I like to use videos or channels that have many videos where there isn't that much editing, okay? So like this video right here. There are maybe just a few cuts, but really it's just me talking for a long time, uninterrupted. And this is the type of video that I like to use for my language learning. So I don't like to use videos that have a lot of editing, where there's tons and tons of cuts, and a lot of the cuts are for dramatic effect, and everything seems to go fast. And of course, these videos are made this way because that's what keeps your attention, right? They make these videos like this because you're more likely to continue watching if it's like all of that, right? However, that's not what's best for language learning, okay? You don't want all those distractions, and you want to hear natural speech. So if someone is cutting in the middle of their sentences and zooming in and zooming out, and they're cutting out all the filler words, and there's no authenticity behind their speaking, it's like they're just creating this good production where they're speaking perfectly and fast and everything is just very edited. That is not how people speak. And it's actually kind of distracting when all of that is part of the video. And the focus is not just the language. But as a language learner, if you're learning English, like I'm learning French, I don't want all that. I just want a video or a channel with a lot of videos where the person is speaking and the focus is what they're saying. The focus is not the editing, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video like this. So it's not very pretty. It's not all edited and nice, and it's definitely not made to get tons and tons of views, let's say, but it's the type of video that really works for language learning, okay? And so like I said, find channels where they have videos where the person isn't editing it so much, where it's more authentic, it's not filled with distractions, right? And you want videos where there's as much talking as possible. So this type of video where it's a person talking to the camera, this is perfect, okay? There are some videos where there isn't as much talking as in this style of video. And for me, as a language learner, I want to utilize my time very effectively. So I don't want to use videos where there's long time periods where the person isn't speaking, right? Where they're just showing you something or whatever, right? So I like to find videos where it's like the person speaking like this and the whole video is about what they're speaking about, right? It's about the thing they're talking about. Nothing else is going on, right? So that's important for me. So pretty much the more production there is and the more stuff that's going on, the less useful it is for language learning, right? The more basic that it is and the more that it's just focused on, the talking, that's more useful, okay? So that's why I love podcasts for language learning, because podcasts don't have all of this crazy editing to try to capture your eyes, your attention, right? It's more just people talking. And so podcasts are fantastic. That's why, most of you probably know me because of my podcast, and that's been my main focus for a few years now. However, I have the desire to make more videos on YouTube like this because I understand that there's an appeal and attraction to also being able to see the person while they're talking. And if you listen to my podcast episodes, you can't see me, right? I don't upload them in video form. And so I know some people just really like seeing the person and listening to them as they talk. And I like this too. I use podcasts and YouTube for my language learning. So that's why I think you should also find content like this that will be like the visual content that you use, in addition to just the audio content, the podcast episodes, right? So hopefully I'll be able to make more videos like this where I talk for 20, 25, 30 minutes, I don't know. But videos where it's kind of like a podcast episode where I'm just talking. There isn't a lot of editing. I might make a few cuts if I just really mess up and I need to say something again or whatever. But really, it's just me talking and you listening. And I want to talk about different topics that are interesting for me and that are hopefully interesting for you. A lot of those topics are related to language learning because that's what I'm interested in. But I'll probably talk about other things as well. And I know that a lot of you who watch me on YouTube, you actually prefer YouTube. And I think that a certain percentage of my audience here on YouTube only follows me on YouTube. You only watch my videos here and you actually don't download my podcast episodes. So I kind of want to make content for this YouTube audience as well, and not just my podcast audience. So hopefully I can make more videos like this. I'm not going to make those short listening practice videos that I used to make. I know many of you love them, but it's not really what I like to do. And I enjoy this format a lot more, where I don't need a script. I don't need to prepare it perfectly beforehand. And I just like this type of content as a language learner too. These kind of long videos or podcast episodes where I'm just hearing the person talk naturally about different topics. And so hopefully you can use this video and my future videos that I plan on making. Hopefully I will. And hopefully you guys like them, because if you don't like this content, then I won't continue to do videos like this, obviously. But I'm sure that a lot of you will like this. You want to see me while I'm talking. It's a little less natural for me. In all honesty, I prefer to be just behind the microphone and no camera, right? But I kind of want to challenge myself and be in front of the camera a little bit and make content like this. So I'm doing this. And of course, with these videos, like this video, I'm still talking pretty slowly and clearly. This is not how a native speaker would speak at normal speed with their friend or whatever. That would be much less understandable than this. So, of course, this type of content is for people that can't just understand native content well, right? That's why I make the content that I do. And so that's one last thing that I wanted to mention, is that when you're finding videos and channels to use for your English learning, of course, you want to make sure that it's appropriate for your level. I have the plan next year of trying to start Greek again after I reach a pretty good level of French. That's my goal right now, and I'll probably talk a lot about that in future videos. But next year, I hope to start Greek again, and when I do that, I'm not going to be able to just put on native content in Greek and use that right away, because my listening comprehension won't be good enough. I learned Greek some years ago. I was still at a low level, but I stopped for years, so I've lost almost everything. So of course, I can't just expect to use native content right away. And so I'll need to find content more like this, like this video, where the person is talking specifically in a slower and a clearer way, so that it's suitable for my ears at that level, right? So hopefully there are a lot of beginners and maybe even like lower intermediate people following me, watching these videos. And hopefully this content serves as that type of tool for someone at your level. And you can repeat it, hopefully learn some good new words and phrases from it. And I hope that eventually you can use native content, let's say. But an easy way to start doing that as well is to use my advanced episodes. So a lot of you already know, maybe some of you don't. I also release 2 advanced podcast episodes every month in which I speak fast at normal speed. I don't slow down like this, and I provide the transcript for you. So eventually you want to start using that type of content where the person is speaking at normal speed, but maybe you don't feel ready to just listen to any native speaker, right? You might be more accustomed to my voice, the way I speak. I'm kind of easy to understand compared to other people, right? So that's why I have my advanced episodes, so that you can kind of slowly reach that level where you don't need me anymore and my voice and my transcripts, and you could just start to use other native content comfortably. So those advanced episodes are available for people who sign up to become a Listening Time family member. That link is down below. So you can sign up if you want to start using native content, but that's still a little easier because you have the transcript and it's my voice and you can understand me better. So make sure to do that if you're interested in it. I guess just to close out, I would say that it's always good to challenge yourself. And so even if this type of content is what's most comfortable for you right now, start to add more native content as well, or content that's a little harder as well, okay? Always try to challenge yourself, listen to things that are a little bit harder than your level, let's say. So, of course, YouTube is full of content in English, probably with subjects that you're interested in, and maybe you can find people that speak a little bit more clearly than the average person, right? Like even when I speak at normal speed, my voice is still clearer than the average English speaker's voice. So you can find people with a clearer voice, a clearer style of speaking about all the topics you're interested in, and use those tips I gave you. Look for channels where there isn't a bunch of editing and cuts and all of this, and just focus on what is being said and use that for your listening. So, of course, there was nothing too fancy about anything I just said. There's no really interesting methodology here. I would just say find content that's interesting for you. Find content that keeps you engaged. And in future videos, I'll probably talk more about how exactly you can use that content. But really, you can use it in many ways, and you can just watch it and not have any method, and it's still going to be beneficial for you, okay? So I think I'll stop there. Let me know in the comments if you like this format of video where it's kind of like a podcast episode, but you see me talking. So this is kind of the first time I've done that, but I wanted to challenge myself and make this type of content, and I'd like to know if this is interesting for you or not. If not, then I guess I'll stop. But if this is interesting for you, then I'll probably continue on and make more videos like this. So remember that you can sign up for my advanced episodes with the link down below, and I'll talk to you in the next video.